What's up, guys? Ron Harris here, and I have not been following Martin Fitzwater as closely as I normally would because so much else was going on. We had the Arnold Classic and those guys, so I finally took a look. Actually, people made this evident to me. He posted this yesterday on his Instagram, some progress pictures from yesterday versus a year ago. These were 12 weeks out from two different shows. So 12 weeks out from the Detroit Pro, what we're looking at there on the left, 245 pounds. 12 weeks out from the Pittsburgh Pro on the right, 265. And to me, the condition looks almost identical. In fact, I know the lighting's a little bit different, but you could make the argument that he seems slightly leaner at 265, but I'm just going to say he's the same. And that's 20 pounds of muscle. You can see it very evident here. So much thicker and fuller. In the front double there, rear double. The back shots are critical, as we know. Shows are one from the back. Back has gotten much thicker. Delts are fuller and thicker. Legs look even bigger, and his legs have been a strong point since day one. We go with the most muscular, two different versions, but very, very evident. He's packed on a lot of size. 20 pounds on a guy who's, I think he's 5'6". If I'm 5'7.5", I know for sure I've stood next to him and he's about an inch shorter than me. So let's say 5'6", 5'6.5". That's a big dude. It's 265 pounds at, let's call it 5'6.5". Give him that half inch. I like the half inch that I get. Amazing work from Martin here. And see if we got some new posing stuff. That's the new posing stuff. Let me see what we have for his Instagram. He does a lot of gym reviews. He goes to different gyms. I think that's pretty cool. Gives you reviews based on the equipment, the atmosphere, all kinds of different factors on his channel. But this is a guy that when he turned pro and he started competing as a pro, I thought he's pretty good. I never saw him as someone who would be pushing for the Mr. Olympia title. And now I can honestly say, yeah, I could see it happening in the next couple of years. I could see him winning. I don't know about this year. This year will be a stretch, but he's bigger than we've ever seen him. This version that he's going to show us soon on stage at Pittsburgh, 12 weeks will go by pretty quick. That's 3 months. I think we're going to be shocked. I think we're going to be very surprised. I mean, you can already see the difference there just in the gym, how much bigger and fuller and thicker he is than he was then. Let's take a look at some of his posing stuff because I've queued up some posing. So this was Martin at the Olympia, where he took a very solid 4th place behind Samson Dauda, Hadi Choopan, Derek Lunsford. More than a few people thought he was deserving of beating Derek last year at the Olympia, which would have put him in 3rd place at the Olympia. Now, to be fair, that was a very depleted-looking Derek Lunsford. The version of Derek that we saw recently win the Arnold Classic, beating reigning Mr. Olympia, Samson Dauda. I don't know if Martin would beat that. It'd be a dogfight. They'd be much more evenly matched. And I don't think too many people would be as quick to say Martin should have beat him had Derek looked like that. But he didn't look like that. But this is the Olympia. It was an amazing look for Martin. He's really got no weak points. You know, if you could point to anything, you know, in some shots, maybe his arms could be a little fuller, rounder, maybe more bicep peak, but we're being very, very, very picky. So he came to the Prague show a couple weeks later. Look at that. That's a great shot for him. Came to the Prague show a couple weeks later. A little flat on the first day. His coach, Boss of Outlaw, who picked him up right after the Olympia, so they'd only been working together for a couple weeks, figured it all out, filled him out. He came back much fuller because he had nearly been beaten by Chris Bumstead at judging, even though the score sheets would indicate it was a perfect score, an easy win. It was not an easy win. A lot of people had Bumstead ahead of him that first day in Prague, but on the second day, he came in much, much fuller. Condition was right there still. He had actually slightly torn a hamstring while he was posing during the judging portion the first day in Prague, the EVLS Prague Pro, which caused him to sort of panic, spill over with water. Cortisol. Cortisol is a very catabolic hormone, makes you hold water, and that's the fight or flight hormone. But it's also when we get very frightened or very nervous, very worried, our bodies flood with cortisol. Let's get to some of your comments because I had this bad habit of not getting to comments till too late in videos. On the right, his left lat looks a little funky. Maybe the angle. Let's take a look at that. We'll take a look at those pictures in a minute. His left lat. Got bigger from Detroit to Olympia, though. From Olympia, he still put on a little bit. Yeah, he's done quite a bit with very limited off-season time because Detroit was April, I believe, last year, and the Olympia was October. So assuming he had what we call a health phase and went off the gear for a little bit, let his body rest after winning Detroit, where he beat Good Vito, who's going to be up against him in Pittsburgh again. Didn't have a whole lot of time. So the fact that he's been able to do this is kind of like Samson. Samson Dauda hasn't taken much off-season time at all since turning professional, especially over the last few years. But he's managed to continue putting on new muscle tissue. So at the Olympia, so size not that much. Why not put a recent update? 12 weeks. It's 8 weeks. Is it 8 weeks away? Because we get confused. Because Detroit, I don't know. Is he also doing Detroit? His weak points: no biceps and no lats. Wow, no biceps and no lats. Come on, guy. Yeah, Goku. I know it was a perfect score both days, but the score sheets, even when someone wins with a perfect score, doesn't mean it wasn't close. In the judges' eyes, maybe it was not, but millions of people were watching the live. I don't know about millions, but a lot of people were watching the live stream from Prague, and they thought Bumstead had him on that first day. The judges didn't see it that way. Clearly, the score sheets would indicate that, but that doesn't mean it wasn't close. He was working with Boss all of last year. Okay, well, thanks for the correction. Oh, it was Clarita. You're right. It was Clarita that switched from Jansen to Boss right after the Olympia. I'm sorry, I mixed those two up. So Clarita is the one who was very, very depleted at the Olympia and then came in bursting full at the Prague show. Yeah, you're right. He's been with Stefan Keen's a little while, so my bad. And sometimes I'm talking too fast and I'm thinking about what footage I want to put up again next. Let's go back to that Instagram. Let's go back to that. So stop the screen. Yeah. Any newer comments? He's going to need all that size against Nick. Nick's body had a chance to rest for 2 years. Yeah, but he was going through things. He had injuries, and I don't know what was going on. I don't think Nick has ever really come out and said exactly what was going on with him last year. Let's go back to that update, though. Let's go back to the Instagram. Because now I want to look at that lat and see. We just heard that he had no lats, so now I'm gonna take a look myself. Let's look at the lat spread. All right, so the left lat. I think what you're seeing there is just the lighting is uneven here. It does look like the right side, the right lat swoops down, is a little rounder. Could be a posing issue, but yeah, you see it. I think it's actually just the way the lighting is, because look at the left and the right. You can see but when you say there's something funky, I don't know if you meant it was atrophied or something. It does seem like the right lat is bigger, but let's look at the lat spread. Do we have a lat spread to look at? No, we don't have a lat spread to look at. Let's see if there's any more out there, because something like that you can typically see in the lat spread. But you're saying why is I think he, even though he's 8 weeks out now, I think the reason he put what would be considered old update pictures, because 4 weeks have gone by, is I think he wanted to show us something that was you could compare easily. You can compare 12 weeks out from both shows in these pictures, where if you posted a picture and said 8 weeks out from Detroit, 12 weeks out from Detroit versus 8 weeks out from Pittsburgh Pro, it gets confusing. So I'm assuming that's why he did that. I want to find a lat spread picture if we can. So this was 3 weeks ago. Yeah, no posing. A lot of times there's a posing picture in the beginning just to sort of hook you, and then it's training stuff. Guess my way. Here's some posing stuff from 5 weeks ago. Oh, this was 8 weeks out from 2024 Mr. Olympia. Good thing you clarified that. Yeah, you can see the lat there. It looked pretty good to me. I don't see a massive disparity from one side to the other, but to say he has no biceps and no lats, I think that's being very, very harsh. He doesn't have the biceps of some guys, but he's certainly got some big arms. He's got a very thick back. You're not placing fourth in the Mr. Olympia as he did. To win a smaller show like Detroit, you might be able to get away with having a weak point or two. I don't know. It's a smaller show, but to take fourth place at the Olympia, this is the best bodybuilders in the entire world are all there. You can't be missing body parts. So I don't think he was missing anything. Let's get some more comments about him. All right. Only the judges vote, obviously, in the grand scheme of things. Everyone's held their opinion, of course. Yeah. So, I mean, if you and I watched the judging in Prague and we thought he looked off, we thought that Bumstead could have taken him. We're not wrong. We have eyes too, especially myself and a lot of you out there. You've been watching these shows, going to shows for years and years. You have the same set of eyes the judges does. So, yeah, a perfect score doesn't mean it wasn't close. He's so dry on stage. Tendon's probably vulnerable. I mean, everybody's dry on stage. When you're on stage, your body fat is super low. A lot of times, most times, these guys are taking diuretics, so there's really little water in the system. They're very dehydrated, very susceptible to injury, which is why in photo shoots, right around contest time, Chris Lund used to have guys train as heavy as possible while they were in that contest shape. And we saw a couple of people get hurt. We saw, I think Orville Burke tore his tricep and went into a coma. I think he was shooting with Chris, but I know for sure it was Chris that was shooting with Jean-Pierre Fuchs the day after Olympia. It was like 25 years ago. He tore both quads squatting, I think it was 7 plates aside, something ridiculous. Love the interview with Bob. Thank you. Your superior interview challenged a few times. Don't speak as my thanks, Sean. Yeah, I'm sure some people wish I had been more confrontational with Bob. They say, why weren't you? They want me to be a dick or an asshole. And I like Bob. I like Bob. I've known Bob for at least 30 years. He's a couple of years older than me, but he's been around the game even longer than I have. He's been part of the Olympia for many years. He's a very educated guy in terms of the industry and the sport. He's been around the business side of the sport, the competitive side. So I get along great with Bob. I don't think he's right all the time. I'm not right all the time. I don't agree with, there's good friends of mine that we disagree on things. I disagree with my wife on things. If everybody agreed with each other, it would be a pretty boring world. How much higher his left shoulder is in the right picture? I think you're going back to the bicep. Yeah, it's the way he poses. I think he needs to work on his posing. I'm going to go back to some footage, some Prague footage. The Olympia. Yeah, I think his posing could use a little bit of work. Nick versus Martin, who will win Pittsburgh. And don't forget, we also have Good Vito. Good Vito is no joke. Vitaly Golnikov from Russia, living in Brazil. He's no joke. He took second to Martin at the Detroit show last year, and he put up a hell of a fight. And he's had almost a full year himself to make improvements. So we'll see. And Nick, we don't know what Nick's updates. He looks pretty damn good. It's going to be a battle, and I'm here for it. I like shows that are close. I don't want to see a show where one guy is so much better than everybody else that immediately, as soon as they come out, that there's the winner, and now it's a battle for second, third, fourth. That's not very exciting, especially if it's a 2-day show, although things can change. What's up, Easy Perrine? He's doing Pittsburgh, not Detroit. Did I say Detroit? Okay. Again, I'm talking fast, and I'm trying to address all the questions. So, yeah, Pittsburgh Pro is what he's doing. He already won Detroit. I don't see how Martin beats Nick. I mean, we don't know. It's until they're next to each other. I mean, we've never seen this newer version of Martin next to the Martin that got beat by Nick last year in New York was damn good, but I think he's improved since then. I think he's better now than he was. I don't know why that footage is lagging like that. So I'm going to go back here. This footage seems to be okay. Doesn't seem to be anything wrong with this footage. Overwork was medical malpractice. It wasn't some JP Fuchs thing. Well, I think, yeah, but I think he tore no, I didn't say that he went into a coma because of the photographer, but he tore the tricep during a photo shoot. I'm pretty sure that's what happened, if memory serves. And I'm pretty sure I'm right about that one. I feel like Bob was just playing the heel. Bodybuilding can be boring in times situation. Yeah, I mean, Bob, he's a showman. You know, you've seen the flashy suits. If you've ever watched him or listened to him calling the MC gig that he does, he's always throwing jokes out there and little digs and trying to stir things up, just trying to make things more interesting, because it's not the most exciting sport. It's really not. You know, we love it, but it's not exciting. Got messed up by doctors for tricep thing and basically died. Well, he's alive. I know he's alive, Paul. But he was in a coma for a while. But again, I think he tore the tricep during a photo shoot. Try to pull fast on your run. Good Vito could definitely win. Yeah, Good Vito, and you know, let's not forget William Bonac. He's no joke either. He's not quite as good as he was a few years ago, but remember, Bonac was second at the Olympia one year. He's won the Arnold Classic twice. I wouldn't write him off. I know he slipped a little bit in the placings, and I'm not saying he's going to beat Martin. He's going to beat Nick, you know, but stranger things have happened. I don't like to write people off unless, you know, if they've had like a string of bad showings and it's clear their physique, there's something really wrong, torn muscles, something like that. You can pretty much know they're done. Asked Martin about his front lats for early. He said it was due to a shoulder mobility issue that he'd work on. Yeah, you know, I can totally relate, and that actually makes a lot of sense to me. I need a shoulder replacement. I've needed a shoulder replacement on my left shoulder for many years, and there's one pose I cannot hit correctly anymore at all, and it's the front lat spread. The rear lat spread's not great either, but the front lat spread, if your shoulders are not healthy, if there's issues inside, whether it could be, you know, things that are torn, like a rotator cuff or a labrum, or maybe you have arthritis, like that's my situation. You don't have the mobility and you can't rotate the shoulders to their full degree, front and back, like they're supposed to. In the front lat spread, like I can bring one shoulder up to where it's supposed to be and the other one doesn't rotate forward enough. So I definitely think shoulder mobility could be hurting those poses for Martin. BBE, Bodybuilding Entertainment. So that's like WWE. It's crazy all the Jansen's guys, Hines guys didn't do well at the lasso, then all improved right after. Makes you think these coaches knew they were done. Well, I mean, when we're fully committed, I'm almost sure that was the case with Jansen. I think Matt had been sort of leaving coaching for a while before he actually left. He was getting into triathlon training, which is very time consuming. I think he's got the Raw Revive, the supplement business that he's part of. I just don't think he had time to devote to be a really good coach. You do need to be attentive and get right back to your clients. And it's a lot of work, especially if you're working with, 10, 20, 30 guys. I don't know how many people Matt had in his roster, but to balance all that, plus he has a family, kids and everything too. It's a lot. There are rumors that Derek is going to do the Pittsburgh show. There's a word on the street. I have not heard that rumor. And if I was a gambling man, I would say absolutely not. Only because he just won the Arnold Classic. He lost his Olympia title to Sampson in 2024. And he wants that Olympia title back. His best chance of winning the Olympia again is taking a good rest after the Arnold, which he just won, which I'm sure he's been doing, and then come back to hit it really hard for the Olympia. And if he continues on and does the Pittsburgh show, that's more months, several more months of dieting and being on gear and all that stuff, beating up the body. The body would not be fresh and receptive to the training and the diet the way it needs to be for him to be the best in the world, because Derek doesn't want anything less than first place. He's not coming to take second or third again. He's coming back for first, just like Hadi is, just like Sampson is, it's like Martin is, Nick. These guys all want to win. Bobby Heenan, Chickarillo. There's an old wrestling reference. Bobby the Brain Heenan. Black's drink right now is posing. Oh, he's a great poser. He's a veteran. I'll tear your triceps in a photo shoot. I mean, one of my triceps already was torn and it never actually came back. It was never that great to begin with. And ever since I tore it, even though it was repaired and the strength came back and everything. Yeah, I mean, triceps have been my downfall my entire bodybuilding career. They just never responded the way other body parts do. Okay, so let's do a come on, LOL. Martin had his hands full next to C-Bum, looking worse than he did at the Olympia. He put on 20 pounds muscle since a short time. I'm just delivering the news, man. I don't know how he did it or why he did it. I'll put that up again. Let's stop that screen. I'll put up his before and after again. Let's go to that. Let's go back to the home page. Yeah. One sec, guys. Bear with me. Okay, because I want to leave that up. All right, that's good. We'll leave that right there. I got to make sure you can read the weights. 245 and 265. Yeah, look at that. Okay. Back to your comments. Goku, if bodybuilding was purely popular opinion based, Nick Walker would be last place at Olympia. No, I disagree. Nick has a lot of fans. I know he lost some fans and they got this whole Nick Talker thing, but Nick has a lot of fans. He still does. I mean, what's his Instagram? Like 1.5 million or something? Let me see. I'll check for you right now, guys. People are arguing about this diabetic kid. You know, I did an interview with a natural bodybuilder at my gym who was type 1 diabetic, and I wish all the people that were commenting on Facebook and Instagram about it had watched the damn video, because the video's only got like 430 views, and the Instagram post telling people to go watch the video has almost 25,000 views. Damn it. Why is it going to work like it? Yeah, so Nick has 1.5 million followers. He's very popular. He would not be last place. Yeah, but yeah, I agree. Chris would be the Open Olympia champion if popularity was an issue. C-Bum is the most popular. I'm just going to call him a bodybuilder. He's a bodybuilder in the world. I mean, if it was based on popularity, Sam Solik would be a top pro, whether he deserved it or not, because he's got far more followers than anybody competing right now at the Olympia level. It's actually big. Andrew Jack can't open up his lat at all. Yeah, it's a massive problem. I mean, I've seen certain massage therapists post before and afters of bodybuilders just to show how they were able to help them. Typically, that's it. It's the lat spread pose that's a massive problem when you have shoulder mobility issues. The bicep can be a problem. It's that rotation of the shoulder. You can't externally rotate. Look, this is as far back as I can't get my hand further back than that. You suffer from this. Can you please elaborate? I don't know what his issue. I don't know what's wrong with Martin's shoulder and why he has lost some mobility in it. It could be any number of things. I'm not an orthopedic surgeon. I'm not a medical professional at all. So I can only give I know from my experience, I have a big bone spur in there, and I have severe advanced osteoarthritis where I had worn out the cartilage years ago, like 15 years ago. And from that point, it was just bone on bone, grinding. It just grinded the surface of the joint all the way. And there's issues in the front lat. He doesn't lower his shoulders enough. He might not be able to. The 20 pounds are from Detroit, 24 and 12 weeks out of Pittsburgh this year, 1 year. Still not sure why he isn't posting recent pics. Well, I mean, some guys don't post recent pics. He's got Boss of Outlaw on his side, and Martin's done so well. I'm sure he's going to be in shape. I don't think that's going to be in question at all. He'll be in shape the day of the show like he needs to be, shredded. Why hasn't he been posting updates? Well, let's see. So that was at 12 weeks old. So these are 4 weeks old, these pictures. I don't know when this is posted 3 days ago. I don't know if the footage was shot that day, but I would venture to say the footage is pretty. What's he sleeping on the couch? You can't really see much there, isn't it? That's not a good indication. California back in January, so that was old. That's going to be old. This is a week ago, but you're not really able to see much there. Legs look pretty sharp. I mean, he's got great legs. Great. Look at the quads. You could already see some really good cross-striations on the teardrop there. Let's see if I can blow that up for you. Yeah. There you go. Look at that. So if this was a week ago, that would be 9 weeks out from Pittsburgh. So condition is coming in as it should be, right on track, right on schedule. Was there ever any doubt? No. Sleep paralysis. So that's fairly recent. This was a week ago. So this was 9 weeks out. Yeah, he hasn't posted full body posing stuff in a minute, in a while, a couple weeks. But I think we're getting a good enough idea from what he has been posting. This is pretty cool sneakers. Okay, so that was, I guess this was a week ago, right? It says 1 week. So this would have been 9 weeks out. That's pretty damn good condition for 9 weeks out, wouldn't you say? He's massive. Look how much bigger he is. Because I remember seeing him when he first turned pro. He was not this big. He was a thick kid. He's a kid. He's only 28 now. I think he was competing his first pro season. He was only 24, 25. It was back at the Arnold 2 weeks ago. Shirt on doesn't count. Yeah, I'm going to go back to that. I don't want to leave it up. We'll just talk about it a little bit more. Where was that? Where was that posing stuff? It was, did I already go past it? Yeah, I mean, this was 5 weeks ago. So, but that was from 2024. I'm just going to leave it up anyway. Got some really good stuff because he is bigger than that now. He's put on some good size. All protein shakes and hard-boiled eggs. Well, I mean, everyone's on gear. Everyone at the pro level's on gear. So, Donald Pump. I voted for you, Donald Pump. I hope you do a good job as president. We're all counting on you, Donald Pump. That's a pretty good name, though. Yeah. So 20 pounds, whether it's actually 20 new pounds of lean muscle tissue, let's say it's only 10, but it's got to be more than that. But for someone who's an advanced pro to put on 10 new pounds of muscle, very rare. I mean, we're talking about a shorter guy too. You know, for Samson to put on 10 pounds is still impressive, but Samson's almost 6 foot tall. Martin's about a half foot below that. So 10, 20 pounds on a shorter guy, it's significantly more than it would be. Great pump. I've always liked Martin. Always gotten along well with Martin. He was a very sincere guy. He had moved originally from Montana, right? And he moved to Colorado earlier in his career just to train at Armbrust Gym with Brett Wilkin, and they were training partners for a while. Then he made the move to Texas. He moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area where a lot of bodybuilders have been moving these past few years. Again, to be closer to GASP and other things. And just, you know, Texas has much more affordable real estate than most of the country. Good Vito versus Beruz. I'd probably go with Beruz. Vito's bigger. Beruz is pretty damn tough, though. No wonder he got bigger. Everything bigger in Texas. Yeah, that's what they say, man. I mean, Texas is those of you in the U.S. already know this, but for those of you who don't know how big Texas is, it's like a quarter of the landmass of the continental United States. So not counting Alaska, which is huge. Hawaii's pretty small. It's massive. It used to be its own country. It was the Republic of Texas. It was not really part of the USA for a very long time. I don't know how many people you know that. Look up, Google Republic of Texas. It was its own country, its own sovereign nation at one point. And I've been there a few times, and I actually drove across the whole state while I was going cross country one time. It took me a whole day at like 75 miles an hour, stopping only to eat and go to the bathroom. It took me a whole day to get across that state. It was huge. Let's see. Paul says Sean Roden, one of the most underrated guys. Oh, 100%. I mean, Sean, the tragic, it's tragic that he died. It's also tragic that Sean Roden never had the opportunity to defend his Mr. Olympia title. He won it, and then he was charged with rape, and COVID happened, and the case got dragged out in court. He was never convicted of anything. Yet they didn't want him competing. They didn't want that controversy. So he never competed again after he won the Mr. Olympia in 2018. Yeah, 2018 when he beat Phil Heath, who was a 7-time reigning Mr. Olympia at the time. Abhijit Nanda packing 20 pounds short time could not. Well, I mean, the waist looks pretty good. It doesn't look like his waist has gotten any bigger to me. Let's go back to the update. If we look at the front double, which is usually, you can't hide a big waist. Does the waist look any bigger to you? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think his waist has gotten any bigger. I know, you'd have to look at different shots. I don't think his waist is bigger. I think he's managed to keep the same waistline, but put on, let's call it 15. For those of you who think 20 is too much of a stretch, still 50. Even if it's 10, that's a lot of new muscle tissue. I always say, he lived in Florida too, thanks. I always say, if you don't think 10 pounds of muscle is a lot, buy 10 pounds of steak at your local butcher shop, grocery store, Costco. Put it on a table in front of you, 10 pounds, and imagine that all distributed all over your body. All that meat, that's a lot of muscle. So 20 pounds. I think Good Vito with improved back is better than Beirut's. Well, they've never competed against each other. I hope this year, we get to see Beirut's in the USA competing. I want to see Beirut's in the Olympia this year, but Trump's trying to make it so that Iranians cannot come here. Beirut's brings the glutes, bro. Oh, 100%. Want to go to Beirut's in a second? Nick will destroy Fitzwater this time around. It won't be close. Well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the Fitzwater fans feel differently. Did he put it in the right places? What weakness are people speaking of when he was talking about Martin? I think just overall size. He wasn't a small guy, but look at how much, you want to win the Olympia, which is that's the ultimate goal for all these guys. You have to compare size-wise because you have guys with great shape who are already massive, like Andrew Jacked and Sampson. So you want to beat them at their own game. At the Mr. Olympia level, you have to be huge. So Martin got bigger, and I think he did it in such a way that he was able to maintain that smaller midsection. So I think he's in a really good spot, not only for the Pittsburgh Pro going up against Martin and Vito, Good Vito and William Bonac, but for the Olympia this year. It's going to be a hell of an Olympia this year, guys. Hell of an Olympia. I mean, geez, you got Hadi. Hopefully, he doesn't have any issues getting here. He said he'll have had a full year to, get huge. Not huge. One of his fans made a comment on a post. It had nothing to do with Hadi, but they brought him up and they said, Hadi could bulk up and put on a lot more size, which I actually disagree with. Hadi's been training for many years. He's been eating a lot of food, doing good amounts of gear, I'm sure. I'm sure he's been training to get bigger this whole time. It's not like he was holding back on size, so I don't think Hadi would get much bigger. And if he got much bigger, I could see his midsection getting pretty blocky. The shorter guys always have to be very concerned with the waistline because when you have a more compact frame like Hadi does, like Derek Lunsford does, like Derek does, these are all shorter guys. They have to be very careful that added mass doesn't start going to the midsection and getting real thick and blocky. Yeah. Great year for bodybuilding. Good Vito and glute is more strided. Yeah. Do you go to Good Vito? Yeah, what the heck? We'll take a look at Good Vito. We'll take a look at Good Vito here for a second because I know the video is not about Good Vito. Vitaly Okolnikov. Does he have any new updates? I'm guessing that's not new. None of these look new. It's 2 days ago, but we're not really seeing a whole lot there, are we? Yeah. I don't think he's been posting a lot of updates either. There we go. So that was the most recent one. That was 4 weeks ago. He's in really good shape, unless that's an older picture. Don't know. There is finger painting. Literally finger painting. Let's see what he's got for contest condition. When was that? 6 weeks ago. Yeah, they trick you with the cover. This was 10 weeks out. Landerland. I don't know Landerland. Yeah, Vito's great. Vito's definitely going to give Nick trouble. He's going to give Martin trouble. He's damn good. He's really not missing a damn thing. He's got tons of mass, pretty good shape. He pushed Martin very, very hard last year for that win in Detroit. You know, and some people thought he could have had it. Yeah, Vito's no joke. He's definitely going to be high up at the Olympia soon. I don't know when. I don't know if it's going to be this year, but he's a young guy. He keeps getting better and better. There's a good shot right there. So I think that was Detroit last year. Yeah, looks fantastic. Those legs. Yeah, I've always been a fan of huge legs because Tom Platz, Paul DeMeo, guys like that, Jay Cutler, Kai, Branch. So I'm always appreciative when someone has these freaky quads. Who else did we want to look at? Sam should worry about his waist. Yeah, I mean, Samson came in the Arnold too heavy, in my opinion. I think he should have been 296 rather than 306. But I think losing the Arnold was probably the best thing that could have happened to Samson, only because it probably drove home the need for him to come in better conditioned than we've ever seen him before. The conditioning he had at this last Olympia win, the conditioning he had at this last Arnold taking second to Derek, it's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. It wouldn't beat Derek. It didn't beat Derek this time. It wouldn't beat Derek again if Derek shows up looking the same or better, and it damn sure wouldn't beat Hottie. So, yeah, that's the BS. Those picks from Arnold Sam did not win that. Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Trained Again. Well, you can't say anything against Sam or else, you know, he's got literally millions and millions of fans who will jump down your throat and call you a hater. But I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater. I just call it like I see it. And it was a weak show, the Arnold Amateurs. It's not his fault it was weak, but he would have not have won the USA or Nationals Classic Physique overall. There's no way. And as a pro, I know he gets a little more weight, but the shape and the structure, none of that's going to change. And his shape and structure are not what you see in top classic guys. He just doesn't have a bright future at that level, which who cares? He's going to have more money than all those guys anyway. The only guy who'll have more money than him is C-Bum. If Simpson does not improve his condition from here, Derek is going to catch again at this year's Olympia. Oh, 100%. And Hottie could beat him too. You have to wonder when Samson are going to get worse rather than better. So 3.5, 4 years old. Derek and Martin Young. Well, I mean, Simpson has not been competing that long. If you look at his Instagram, he was a pretty thin guy back in like 2017, 2016. He hasn't even been training for 10 years, I don't think. So even though he's 39, 38, whatever he is, he's pushing 40. His body hasn't been subjected to, 20, 30 years of heavy weights and gear and all that food. Those things that can really have an impact in age of physique and your tendons, ligaments, your gut health, things like that. So he's not that. Vito will get top 6 at the O this year. Well, he's damn good, man. Vito is good. I'm glad he's starting to compete more, especially in the U.S., because a lot of U.S. fans didn't even know who he was. The judge made it clear to Samson, if you're not shredding Derek or how he is, you're not winning the O. Yeah, and the cool thing, Sean, is at the Olympia level. Stop that screen. At the Olympia level, for many, many years, the Olympia champ could come in off. I saw it with Lee Haney, 89 and 90, he was off. Rimini, Italy, and then Chicago. Both of those years, his condition was considerably off. He still won. He shouldn't have. But back then, they said you had to knock out Mr. Olympia. You couldn't just barely beat him. Even if you deserved to beat him, you had to knock out Mr. Olympia. We saw Dorian win a couple Olympias he was off. That last Olympia that Nasser took second in 97, where Dorian won his 6th title. Millions of people still talk about Nasser should have won that show. Ronnie was a little bloated and off a couple times. Jay had him. Jay probably should have beat him. Phil, no, I think Phil deserved all his wins. Jay was off that year, that 2007, where Victor Martinez was second. People still talk about that as one of the biggest travesties. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is we don't have that way of, the judges don't seem to have that mentality anymore that Mr. Olympia has to be knocked out. Even if he's a little off, he'll still keep his title if he's close enough. It's not like that. We've had, let's look at the winner. 2017, Phil Heath. 2018, Sean Roden. 2019, Brandon Curry. 2020 and 21, that's Rami. That's 4 different winners. 22, Hadi Chupan. 23, Derek Lunsford. 24, Simpson Dauda. So that is 7 different men with the Mr. Olympia title in 8 years. So that's pretty amazing. Yeah. We got in Pittsburgh, Nick or Martin. God, it's tough, man. It's tough. That's tough. Tell me, guys, who do you have? Doesn't matter what I think. You guys are the viewers. Who do you got? I happen to think Nick. I think Nick's desperate. He needs to qualify for the Olympia. He's not qualified. Martin has already qualified for the Olympia because he won the Prague show, which was held after the Olympia. So that qualified him for the 25 Olympia. He's already qualified. Nick really needs to qualify. So he needs to win that show. Not that he can't do another show after that if it comes down to it. Like New York Pros shortly after that, he could do that again. That would be his 3rd win if he won it. But I think so. It's not tough. Anyway. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. I've already been talking for 40 minutes. Appreciate y'all watching, but drop a comment below. What do you think about Martin Fitzwater's transformation, his new muscle tissue? Also, who do you think? Who's going to beat it? Who's going to win? Will it be Nick? Will it be Vito? Will it be Martin? Will it be William Bonac? Detroit is looking to be Pittsburgh is looking to be a very, very competitive show. And it's going to be a battle up there, and we all love to see battles because that's when things get exciting, rather than when just someone walks out there and like, oh, there's your winner. No, nobody's going to win the show easily because those guys are all going to bring it, and they're all going to want that. Pittsburgh is a foregone conclusion. Martin Vito top 2. Shove in the UK. What's up, UK? Where some of my ancestors came from. The other ones came from Moldova, Romania, and Ukraine. But my dad's side, obviously, Paris, British Isles. So anyway, guys, that's it. Appreciate you all watching. Please drop a comment below, follow, do all that crap. And I'll see you right here next time. Peace.